Hello guys, so we are back with another year-end list, my favorite albums of 2023. It's finally here. Now, thought 2023 was a really good year for music, also for movies, but obviously we don't talk about movies, but there were some really good movies like Across the Spiderverse and Godzilla Minus One and stuff like that. But anyways, now it's my favorite end of the year list. Not my favorite end of the year list, but it's my end of the year list for 2023. It's my favorite albums of 2023. We do this at the end of every year, as you know. Anyway, so before we go into the music, let's go into the honorable mentions. So first one we have is CYRM by OXN. I think that's how you pronounce it. An Irish album folk group. It turns out to be a side project by another Irish album I like quite a lot called Lincoln. Their album False Lincoln, but I think this one's better. It's very eerie and atmospheric, but also quite beautiful. It has poetic, eerie, dark lyrics. But also the music is very beautiful and atmospheric. It features some electronic and some industrial and all this other stuff. It's a very interesting album, and I've heard it recently, but I really, really enjoyed it. Next we have Petro Dragonic Apocalypse, or Dawn of Eternal Night and Annihilation. An Annihilation of Planet Earth and the Beginning of Merciless Damnation by the Australian psychedelic rock band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. With this album, they did a thrash metal themed album. I think they did quite a good job on this. This is definitely my favorite of their metal releases. It's not my favorite release by them overall, but it's still quite good. Very fun, very catchy. I like it quite a lot. And then we have Holy Design by Soulkeeper, which is one of the more underrated releases of this year. It's a mathcore release with some vaporwave, some electronics here and there. It's not very long, but it's very interesting, very well made, very unique, very colorful. I like it quite a lot. I'm excited to see what these guys can do in the future because their debut was great, I thought. And then we have Chaser EP by Parannoul, which is and also I meant to say Soulkeepers from Minnesota. I meant to say, anyways, Chaser by Pemberton. It's an EP by Parannoul, a digital hardcore breaks release. Kind of came out of nowhere, but I thought it was really good. She is from Ontario, Toronto, I think. And it's very fun release, very catchy, but also has some hexy stuff, so it's kind of lo-fi, but it also, that lo-fi kind of sound almost encapsulates its very kind of humorous, but also just in-your-face aggressive electronic stuff. And then we have Soft Scars by Yule, Singaporean musician. This is their best release yet in my opinion. It's very pretty and also features a bit of a different sound, but still one that works quite well as they go into a kind of dream pop direction instead of the ambient. Kind of glitchy. I mean, it has some glitchy stuff too in this as well, but but it's very pretty, but also has some sounds that are also quite danceable. Really, really great release. So. And then I think I actually probably should have swapped Chaser and do that real quick. Okay. This is I prefer the Chaser EP over Soft Scars by Yule probably. So let's fix that. There we go. Alright. Pretend I said Soft Scars first and then Chaser. But anyways, let's go into this. So now we have the top 10. So this one is a release that kind of dropped near the end of the year. It's a mixtape by Vylet. It's called I Was the Loner of Paradise Valley is the name of the mixtape. With this mixtape, she goes in a bit of a alternative R&B direction and has some hip hop in there too, as well as some glitchy and some EDM. I kind of think I like her more atmospheric and kind of pretty sounding music like this. I still like some of her harder stuff, but I think this is kind of where she does best. I really this mixtape. I think it's might be my new favorite release by her so far. I think she has a really, really good voice, and the music is humorous, but also just very pretty. Features some samples and all this other stuff, and she really did a great job on this mixtape. I guess it's a mixtape because it's shorter than the other releases, I guess. I'm not sure, but I really like this. So next we have Maps by Billy Woods and Kenny Segal. Kenny Segal, the producer. Oh, and also I think funny I forgot to mention. I think she's originally from California, but currently lives in Oregon. But anyways, Billy Woods, born in Washington, D.C., grew up in New York, and then Kenny Segal, born in Maryland, grew up in California. Now, this is probably my second favorite Billy Woods project. It's not quite as experimental as Aethiopes, which came out last year, which I think is his best in my eyes, but it's still a release that's very fun. Also features his in-depth and poetic lyrics. He has a very unique way of rapping. It's still a really, really great release. And definitely one of the best hip-hop releases of this year in my eyes. And if Aethiopes didn't exist, this would definitely be the best thing Billy Woods ever did. This is still great. Great release. Next, we have Death Awaits by Blind Equation. This is another underrated release of this year in my eyes. They're from Illinois. They're a Nintendo Core, Cyber Grind, whatever you want to call it, group from Illinois. And it features some like hyper pop in there too, some hardcore punk and all this other stuff. A lot of electronics in this, obviously. I mean, it's mixed so well too, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just, I really like metal that kind of has like little itty bitty, like kind of chiptune kind of stuff. I think it's a really strange fusion, but one that I think is very, very interesting and sounds good. And I think they did a really good job release with some EDM stuff, as well as some harsher sounding vocals on this too that I really, really thought fit in well with that kind of sound. And I'm glad to say they completely delivered with this release, because this is a fantastic release. I like it quite a lot. Alright, next we have 93696 by Liturgy, the avant-garde metal band from New York. Black metal, avant-garde metal, you know. Really simply, they've kind of like been combining like some glitch and some very experimental classical music. I don't think any metal band's really doing this. I think this is probably my second favorite release. I think it's kind of hard to beat HJQQ, which is probably my favorite release of 2019. This is a longer release though, and they definitely did a great job. This is definitely their second best. If HJQQ didn't exist, this would be my favorite, definitely. And Hunter Hunt Hendricks, very creative mind on this, obviously because she's the main member. It features that kind of like religious kind of themes in here too, with her little clues and maps through her beliefs through this too. Really good release, really beautiful, and just, but also quite experimental and heavy too. Definitely think she did a great job with this release. And then next we have Knocknarea, the EP by Maruja, the English kind of post-punk and post-rock group. This kind of came out of nowhere, but it's a very good release. It's heavy, but also just very kind of like atmospheric and pretty too. It features a lot of pretty performance too. There's only 4 songs on this too, and this is the really covers for each one of the songs. But they really did a good job with this release. It's definitely one of the best post-rock EPs I've ever heard, I'd probably say. It's really, really great release. Here on this. Alright, and then next we have Javelin by Sufjan Stevens. He's from Michigan. But this is his lover unfortunately passed away, and this album was kind of made in dedication to his lover who passed away. This is a very beautiful release. I really, really love it. I'd say it's probably my third favorite release Sufjan did, and Sufjan's one of my favorite musicians, so if it's one of his best, I'd say it's like one of the best albums of the decade, so even if it's not even, if it's his third best, you know. But I thought this release was great. This is a book it comes with. It's very pretty, and but also just so heart-wrenching, and also quite sad when you understand what he was kind of going through. It also features some electronic stuff here and there, and I really love the inclusion of the backing vocals. It's kind of reminiscent to The Age of Odds or Illinois or something like that. This I think has the lyrics, I think, or maybe it doesn't know. Yeah. Okay. Next, next we have, which is kind of a weird thing they kind of include, but this is the Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse score by the English musician Daniel Pemberton. And maybe it's just because I like this movie so much, but this album actually surprisingly works really, really well on its own. And I think the soundtrack is beautiful. It features some really, really crazy, like, progressions and all this other stuff, and kind of features a futuristic industrial sound that I really, really love. So the movie is good, so I guess it would make sense for the soundtrack to be, the score to be amazing too, I guess, right? Obviously the animation in the movie is incredible too. This isn't about the movie, it's about the score. The score is almost 2 hours long. The vinyl version of it is a lot shorter, but it's also very beautiful, but also quite heavy at some parts. Strangely musically diverse too, and it's just very great release. I get some nostalgia when I listen to it, because it kind of makes me feel like I'm going through the movie once again. And I absolutely love the movie, like I said, so. Anyways, that's about it for this one, at least, because there's more coming. Alright. Next. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, now in our third spot, we have Scaring the Hose by JPEGMAFIA and Danny Brown. And JPEGMAFIA, I think, was born in New York and grew up in Maryland, while Danny Brown was born and grew up in Detroit, Michigan. Kind of Sufjan Stevens, you know. Anyways, this is a really great release. This is probably my second favorite by both artists. My favorite JPEGMAFIA album is LP. My favorite Danny Brown album is Atrocity Exhibition. This is obviously an alternative cover, because it doesn't look like that, you know. But anyways, this is a really great release. It's very fun and humorous, but also just very, very well made, very well produced. Features a lot of EDM influence. There's a lot of samples. Very fun and in your face, and also quite heavy at some parts too. Really, really great album. Really surprised me how good this ended up being. So, and then my number 2 is a live album, and it does not have a physical release, so I don't have a physical release to show you. But this is After the Night by Parannoul. South Korean kind of shoegaze and emo musician. This is a live album, mostly of stuff that was on his studio releases, but it also contains like this really, really long and very beautiful and monstrous live version of a non-album single called Into the Endless Night, which I thought was incredible. This is kind of, some people have kind of compared this live album to 981228 or Adokachi no Wakare, you know, by Fishman's live album. I can kind of see that comparison. But this live album blew me away. He made the songs from the studio albums kind of sound like songs of their own, and he somehow made them sound even better live. This live album blew me away. The last song, Into the Endless Night, was monstrous and heavy, but also just very, very beautiful. I thought he did great with this live album. Really shocked me how good this ended up being. It's a really great release. But it's not my number 1. My number 1, which you may have guessed, because I've said it before, is Live at Bush Hall by Black Country New Road, another live album. Interestingly enough, I think 2023 had a lot of really good live albums. And this is my second favorite Black Country New Road release, but they're slowly becoming one of my favorite groups. So, this is a live album of brand new songs, and this is their first release to not include Isaac, but it still managed to be a really, really great release. It features a poppier sound compared to both albums. It's pretty accessible. Some progressive pop elements, but also has a bit of some post-rock here and there. Some singer-songwriter stuff. Luckily, every person that sings on the album has a great voice. Very beautiful release. Also just something you can really just kind of chill and just relax to. And very pretty, very atmospheric. Features some great lyrics, some storytelling. Still didn't get tired of this release. I think I just kind of wanted more and more when I heard it. I really thought they did a good job on this live release. They sound really good live too. But anyways, this is my number 1 album of the year. This is my year-end list. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.